So as I've been curating my collection, I came upon comic books that kind of defied all the criteria I had for different genres or titles or volumes, different groupings. And I realized when I put them all together on my desk, there was a comic book niche that I've been collecting that I wasn't aware I was collecting. Hey, this is James for Read More Comics. I'm going to be talking about a particular niche that unbeknownst to myself, I'd been collecting haphazardly, and now I'm being more intentional about. And I actually have a stack of mail calls all related to that. I'm going to dip over into my box right here. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Sorry, it is the 4th of July weekend coming up in the United States, even though this won't be showing until well after it. So if you hear the sounds of what sound is explosions in the background, welcome to America. So this is an example of what I'm talking about. And you could put the label PSA, but what I found is that was kind of limiting because it wasn't always a public service announcement type book. So this is Avengers, Everyday Heroes. This was published in 2022 by Marvel. You can see it's presented by Pfizer and BioNTech. Here we go right here. And in the comic book, it's talking about the healthcare workers who are helping during the pandemic and talking about getting vaccinated and things like that. So it's kind of a PSA book. But as I began to dig into it, there is a little bit more wiggle room. And what I found is, okay, and here's a caveat. I'm not an expert on PSA comic books at all. I teach social studies, so I think I know things about history, but this is an area that I can say that I'm a neophyte. So what I found is this particular niche started somewhere in the 1950s. The earliest examples, and I want to lay out my criteria for this. One, it needed to be an individual comic book, like this right here. I'm not looking at pamphlets. I'm not looking at an insert in a comic book or back matter in a comic book. I'm looking at an individual comic book, okay? So that limited the field a little bit. I wanted this to be something manageable, and if I put it up for any PSA thing, pamphlet, etc., I would be digging into this until the end of time, and that would not be satisfying, okay? Number one, individual comic book. Number two, it had to have some sort of mission to it. In this case, this is talking about the pandemic, about how the healthcare field is responding to it, about vaccinations. And without that mission, the comic book can't stand on its own. Okay, yeah, it says Avengers right there at the top. But if you take out the mission of this comic book, it wouldn't exist. Okay, so that's number two. Need to be an individual issue. Number two, needed to be there needed to be a mission that without it, the comic wouldn't exist. Number three, and this is the kind of public part, it needs to advocate for something. And a part of that advocacy could be informing the general public about whatever the topic is, okay? So this PSA book, definitely a PSA book, fits these three criteria. And as I dug into it, I found that there were kind of these eras of this niche. Started way back in the 1950s, as I said. The earliest examples I could find was Smokey the Bear, which honestly, I was looking on eBay. I can find some early Smokey the Bear comics in this era that's pretty close to a price point I'd be willing to pay. And then over time, it kind of progressed. Now, there were some gaps, it seemed, and again, not an expert, But I think that's because the format hadn't developed into the individual issues. It really became something of its own in the 1970s, into the 80s, the 90s, and it died out in the 2000s. Issues like this become few and far between the later you get in the 2000s. Like by 2020, these are almost non-existent, and they become really pricey, okay, which was interesting. Most of these that I'm looking at so far have been published by the big two. Obviously, Smokey the Bear was not, but let's kind of dig into it and show you what I have. Now, by this point, I would have shown other books in my collection. I'll put a link up there to a video where I kind of talked about the books I've curated so far. So these are beyond that. There's going to be periods of ASMR, which I will skip over because who wants to hear me cutting open packages? I have 4 of these. I don't know which one's which. Okay, so it's going to be a surprise. I vaguely remember what I've ordered. Okay. The few things that I think is going to be interesting in this, and I want to share this, is like this particular niche, with some exceptions, the comic books are really affordable. Okay, like if you take out shipping and handling, and I don't typically do that, but some of these books are $5 or less. Now, if you include shipping and handling, yes, of course, it becomes more expensive. Several of these I made offers because it's a niche. It's not like Absolute Batman. Everybody and their grandma's looking at buying it. This is a very particular subset of comic book collecting. And as far as I know, I haven't seen any creators talk about it. So anyway, let's go and dive in. So this is my first book. I kind of like this, and thank you, but also they kind of set these up so you can just pull them off. Hey, who did this? It's Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. So, it's just a cardboard sandwich, but it did the job. And then we have blue tape on the inside. See, look at that, blue tape. Now, Jeff could have done the same thing there, but he did not. Come on, Jeff. That was disappointing. Now the packing tape's in the way. It's interesting to me, the variations of mailing comic books. Okay, here we go. So, all right, this one I've seen before, especially on Lunch Money Comics. This is a book that he takes around different cons to get signed. So this is Heroes of Hope, starring the X-Men. So this fits this particular niche that I'm leaning into because, first, individual at issue. Number 2, there's a clear mission that this particular comic book is advocating for. Without it, it wouldn't exist as a comic. And in this case, it's informing the public and, through purchase of it, helping the public support famine relief in Africa. So this is perhaps the most famous, coming in this period of the 80s. There's several other comic books. Marvel did one with Batman and Superman that had a very similar goal. So let's put this over here. Okay, so number 2 this is from Ed. So Ed did not do the same quality job that Jeff did, but okay, so this concerns me right here. Now I think this just slipped out, okay, but it's not in a bag or board. Not that it needs to be, but come on. I know how much I paid for this comic book. Okay, let's see if I can just slip it out. Okay, and it doesn't look like there's any damage, I don't think. I need to look at the pictures when I originally sent it. There's a dimple. If I knew anything about pressing, I could press this comic. This is very pressable. So, This also came out in the 80s. I want to say 1983. Let me check real quick. 1983. We have the new Teen Titans. This is Keebler Company presents DC Comics, the new Teen Titans, in cooperation with the President's Drug Awareness Campaign. Check that out. So what I like about this particular niche is it gives a snapshot of the culture at the time. Okay. As a Gen Xer, I remember the war on drugs and Nancy Reagan talking about the evils of drug abuse. I remember when a bunch of musicians got together and made a song, and how that was in the top 10 forever to help famine relief in Africa. It's just this really cool historical snapshot. And the more I thought about it, as I was looking at the Modest books, I think you only have 3 or 4, the more I wanted to like kind of dig into it and see what else I could find. All right, book number 3. Okay, so this is from ACC. Don't know who that is. I know where they get their packing supplies though from. Ed, you might take some notes. Okay, so not as well done as Jeff, but really easy to open. And where's the, okay, that's kind of nice. So like if you use these, if you're in the States, you can get one of these, and it's like its own Gemini mailer. You know, it just folds right over. It's the perfect size for a single comic book. So this is Spider-Man and Power Pack issue number 0, produced in the cooperation for the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse. Okay, this was a big deal, again, in the 80s. I am really feeling another 1983 book. Let's double check. I'm looking at the indicia in the front. 1984, so close. Okay, so 1984, check that out. With this one, you had to be careful because there was a reprint that came out in the 1990s. I didn't want that one. I wanted the original. Okay, so we got 3 books so far. Let me fold over the tape on that. See, put like tape on the top and the bottom. I don't want it to stick to my other books. Last one. There's an American reprint. It was originally published in Canada, and it's a 3-part series. This is issue number 1, The Amazing Spider-Man, Skating on Thin Ice. You can see right down here, it's about drug abuse. Okay, each issue focuses on a different concern at the time. This one's about drug abuse. Awesome Todd McFarlane Spider-Man right there. I'm hoping this is the first print. I think it is, but I don't know. I need to double check the printing date. Okay, so I'm only going to hold up 3 of the books because one of them isn't in the bag and board. Here we have my additions to this niche I'm collecting, Public Advocacy Comics. It's kind of PSA comic adjacent, but a little bit more refined than that, I think. I hope. I don't know. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on about this genre, I guess, that I'm really nerding about. I'm pretty jazzed about picking up these books. I have a couple other books that I've ordered. One I bid on eBay. I'm making an offer to someone else. Right now, on my list, I have about 15 books I'm looking at for this. And I know as I dig deeper into it, as I kind of peel away the layers, there's going to be more and more and more. I haven't really scratched the surface at the beginning end, starting in the 1950s. I don't want to go much more before that because they're going to be really pricey and really hard to find. I want to stick to things that are achievable right now and insightful to the period of life that I remember. So this is pretty cool for me. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about this. if you would be so kind, leave a comment. What do you think about this? Is there any particular niche in your collecting habits that's really unique to you? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell in the corner so that way you get notifications anytime I post new content. Please don't forget, every day is so much better when we read more comics.